Microaggression. 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 Now, you may be wondering what microaggression is exactly. Well, these are those things that are small and derogatory. They're comments, slights, and behaviors directed towards a marginalized group or person. Usually unintentional, however, they can be intentional. Small and derogatory towards a marginalized group or person. Usually unintentional, however, they can be intentional. Now, I'll break it down a little bit more though for you. There are 3 subcategories: micro-assaults, micro-insults, and micro-invalidations. Micro-assaults are intentional and conscious in nature. These are things directed at someone specifically due to their identity. Micro-insults are, well, small insults. So anything rude and demeaning to a person, really. Micro-invalidations are things that make people feel inferior or less of a human or even unhuman because of their marginalized identity. Which leads me to my next point. You can microaggress yourself and your own community. I was at a coffee shop and I had a small print coupon that I handed to the cashier. He was having trouble reading it and told him not to worry about it, and he just said, "Oh yeah, it's probably just my small Asian eyes." He implied that A, all Asians have small eyes, and that B, having small eyes is bad. This then sends the message that being Asian and having small eyes is bad and not normal. This then perpetuates the idea that non-whiteness in general is wrong and abnormal. Now, why is this so important? Well, if you look at it as an analogy of a house on fire, aggression is the fire, microaggression is the smoke. People often see the fire as the more pressing danger and are more afraid of that, when in reality, the smoke is just as harmful and, well, to put it bluntly, a slower death. Aggression is the fire. Microaggression is the smoke. The smoke is just as harmful. The smoke is just as harmful. A slower death. A slower death. A slower death. My research told me that relationships and conversation are the 2 biggest factors to overcoming microaggression, followed closely by love and solidarity and vulnerability. Relationships are crucial to the reduction of microaggression. As 2 people enter into a relationship with each other, they're making space for the other person in their life and saying, "I care about you and want to know you." My participants, when asked about ways to advocate for those microaggressed and their own personal experiences, described conversation as a major factor in the reduction of microaggression and thus the formation of relationships. The conversation we talked about ranged from surface level to talk to deeper conversations about life experiences and hardships. What makes these conversations possible, though, is love and vulnerability. Love and vulnerability are difficult concepts to grasp and understand, and they often begin to appear as people know each other. Now, the English language does not do justice for this type of knowing. Biblical Greek, however, does. Know, or ginosko, doesn't simply mean the understanding or knowledge of facts or of a person. Ginosko means to perceive, to mark, to discern, to view with favor, to determine by examination, to acknowledge, to resolve, to be assured. These conversations are complex. Building relationships is complex. Loving others purely is complex. Being vulnerable is complex. Getting to ginosko others is complex. And guys, it is so important. Saying nothing, doing nothing is a form of oppression. It's a microaggression. It's a microinvalidation, to be exact. Not standing up, not participating, not trying for whatever reason, tells marginalized folk that we are not worth your time and energy, and invalidates the experiences we have had and continue to have, and the effort we put in just to be seen. Too. I make mistakes. I'm not just up here spitting at you what I've done right and what you guys should do and just being all perfect. No. I have to take steps back and apologize for the things I say, for the times that I microaggress, because I do it too. Ultimately, though, I care, I try, and I press on. And so my question is, when knowing someone, you know-scoing someone, help you to stop or even just notice someone grasping their bag tighter as they walk past a black individual on the street, using the wrong pronouns for a transgender individual, only referring to God as he, avoiding conversation when someone talks about therapy, asking one person what it is like to be deaf, thus assuming that the entire deaf and hard of hearing community, or any community, all have the same experiences and behaviors, being colorblind. The idea of tokenism, excluding Asians, Indigenous people, and Islanders on the conversation on race, saying that with the way you dress, you were asking for it. Having a conversation on inclusion and diversity without the marginalized group present. When knowing someone, you know-scoing someone, help you to recognize that these things happen every day, that you maybe even do them. Because you have to see us as a person who experiences life the same, or even worse than you. I'm not saying you have to actually know, you know-sco every single person. I'm saying you at least have to be willing to.